how fabulous it is. Just as you're about to go live, you notice that you're having a bad hair day. Okay, so it looks like we're on a low broad stream today, but that's okay. Hopefully this will not stop on me like it has in other locations. I am here today to share with you the answer to England. Why do I love you? And there are three really, really good reasons. But first, I want to share with you my new video. Could you please tell me in the comments, however you wish to share, could you let me know what you think of my new video? Hey, welcome back. Did you like my new video? Hello, David. Thank you so much for tuning into my show, Over 60 Still Fabulous and Travel with Victoria Rose. And I even have that new video is based on thank you to all the feedback from so many people on Facebook, so many friends who guided me to choose what I now call my journey, which is backpacking solo on a pension. But before we get into the nitty gritty, as always, I need to just share with you and heart you. Because, as I say on every episode, we all need to operate more from our hearts. The world needs more heart. So how's that working for you? Operating from your heart, I mean. And when you operate from your heart, it shows that you oh, David, you're a smooth talker. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks' time. By the way, team, on the 16th of August, I turned 69 years old. So I would really love to have that support and the love that I've come to appreciate that you can absolutely get from people that you've never ever met before. So here I am currently in York, and how amazing is it being here in York? I'm just trying to get, this isn't working, you know. So one of the things about doing what I do is trying new things. And sometimes those new things don't work that well. David, you're 54 years old. You're just a whippersnapper. You're a puppy on the journey of life. So here I am in York. I've been here for just over a month and I've been traveling. I'm into my 12th month now. I wanted to share with you England. Why do I love you? And as always, there are oh, my fingers are a bit crooked today, but there are always three things that I want to share with you. Now, the first thing is pretty obvious. The first thing that I want to share is easily said in one word, and that is English. The English language, after traveling through and living in so many countries where English was not their native language, and yes, they may have learnt it in school, that's not the same as being confident enough to actually speak English. My advice, or given to me, was just go and ask the young ones. They'll know. But guess what? The young ones may have some idea because, yes, they're taught English in school, but it's not conversational English. It's very similar to some friends of mine who learnt to speak Italian for 6 months prior to going to Italy. And you know what happened, don't you? They got there and the Italians just looked at them as though, why are you speaking English to me when I could only speak Italian? They were devastated. So I guess the moral of that story is that if you do want to learn a language, it is really better to take some lessons at least, or place yourself in a position where you're listening to native speakers. So why is the English, why has that speaking English been so important to me? Well, there are a couple of reasons, as you might guess. One of them is that when you're in places like Italy, Croatia, Albania, Spain, yes, even France, all of those places, they speak the language so fast. It's like a machine gun. And when you're in on public transport, which is how I have been traveling for the last 11 months, there, when you're in a cafe, wherever you are, there are these people and they all speak so loud, and there they all are speaking their language naturally, of course. And it is so hard to just sit there months on months on months, and it's like an assault on the ears. It's like someone firing off a machine gun. Thank God no one was firing off a machine gun, but a machine gun of language. And yes, it actually was hurting my ears there for a little while. That's why it's so good to be back here where they speak English. But that's another story, right? So here they are. Here in Yorkshire, they do speak English, and some of them, though, with a very heavy accent. And I can't understand everything they're saying. I have to say, oh, what? Could you repeat that, please? I remember going into my hairdressers when I was researching, because as you know, I've had my hair done in 9 different countries, and it's been a really letting go of having to be so directive of what I do or expect with my hairstyles and with my haircut and the color and so on. And so I was walking up to this receptionist, and I may have shared this with you once before, but it so fits into this bracket. And I heard her say, "Oh no, she's proper chockers." And of course, I got what she meant by that. But it is such an interesting way to let the person on the other end of the phone know that she's full. She's fully booked out. We're going to have to find another time for you. So it has been so good to pick up product in the supermarket and to read the name and what's in it and the ingredients, and to be able to do that in English. I will not embarrass myself by telling you the misbuying that I did when I was in those other countries, thinking, oh yes, that's cream, or oh yes, that's yogurt, and it wasn't, or whatever it is. So being here with English speaking people is a relief to the ears. And of course, that's all going to change in 1 month's time. I'm going to move to Evesham, and then after that, I'm in Paris for 1 week, spending that week with a new friend I've met on my travels, and she's very kindly said, "Come and stay with me in Paris." And I've gone, heck yes. You see, these are some of the things that you cannot plan when you're standing out of planning your travels. This is where you just have to let go of being quite so strict with what you want to do. It is so much better. It has turned out so much better for me because I've been able to let go of what will happen next. It hasn't always turned out fabulous, I can tell you. But when I was home living in Melbourne, Australia, it didn't always turn out fabulous there either, I hasten to add. So that is a really special thing about England and why I love you. It is so good to be able to relax and to understand what people are saying to you. But then and again, we have the finer points of communication. And you know what I mean by that, don't you? In English, in any language, even if you're speaking to a native speaker of your language, the miscommunication is rife. So that's why we really always have to check back in. The other thing that I found fascinating about being in Yorkshire is their common greeting. And they say it so quickly that it's almost one word. It's like Australians when they say, "Did you have a good weekend? Did you have a good weekend?" It's so mingled in that to someone who's not used to hearing that, it sounds like one word. So what most, if not many, but certainly all the people that I know, upon seeing you, they immediately say to you, "Are you all right then? Are you okay? How's that?" And in Australia, we just simply ask, "Oh, how's it going?" Or "How are you?" But here's the interesting thing. In Australia, we might ask, "How are you?" but we don't really want to know. You have to politely respond, "I'm fine," or "okay," or whatever it is you say. And here in Yorkshire, I'm getting the idea that it's pretty much the same here as well. So that's the first thing. It's English. When you're in England, you get to speak English. Now, the second thing is food. I am one who loves the variety that our world offers as far as food goes. After 11 months, though, of eating food in all of those different countries, it is really nice to be back in a country that offers British food. Britain, Great Britain, although not so great at the moment, but that's another live stream episode. And of course, there I'm referring to Brexit, but we're not going to talk about Brexit. Food. I was brought up in a house, a British household. So that's meat and two veg. My father would soak white bread, white bread in dripping. Can you imagine that? And hand that to us in the morning for breakfast. Yet look at me. I'm the age I am. We've already discussed that today. It's my birthday, the 16th of August, don't forget. And here I am, healthy, vibrant, and I don't take any medication. So it is so good to be here and to have the food that I'm used to. Having said that, here's the weird thing about food when you travel. So whether it's Croatia, whether it's Italy, or any Albania, any of those other countries. See, in Australia, because we're so multicultural, you have the choice of so many types of foods as a normal way to eat. You have Thai food, you have British food, you have French, you have Korean, you have blah, 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 Asian, any sort of food. And of course, you have pizza and you have all risottos and pasta, definitely have Italian food. Well, that's the type of food that's offered to tourists when you travel. So one of the sadness with my first 2 months in Croatia was I could hardly find, I did find traditional Croatian food, but initially all I could see was food that was food I could eat at home. So pizza, pasta, and risotto, but I happen to love risotto anyway. So the moral of that story is food is an interesting thing. And because there are so many British travelers, not only, but so many British travelers, British expats, all of that in Europe, living, visiting. Oh, I'm just off to Mallorca, I heard someone say just yesterday as I was walking past her on the pavement. Oh, we're off to Mallorca. We're off to Germany. We're off to Italy. It's just because they're popping across the pond. So it's very easy for them to do that. But the food that they're used to, many British people, not all, before I get slammed here, but many British people are not that adventurous when it comes to many things that are not British. And one of them is food. That's probably why a lot of the food that you get in Europe is what you would buy in Britain. And of course, Australia, based on our British heritage, a lot of that is British food. So the first thing was English. English, why do I love you, England? It's the English. The second thing is the food. Now, the third thing is the culture. And what I mean in this context is being comfortable. I know what to expect. I know what people are going to expect from me in response to a greeting. British people, on the whole, not all, but British people are frightfully polite. Well, to your face anyway, I have heard from other British people that they're just like humans all around the world in that they may not be fully polite to about you behind your back. So it's pretty hard to know if someone here actually does like you or not. But I do like that I can walk up the street and when I see a lone male, I don't automatically avert my eyes. So when I was walking in the streets, because remember I'm backpacking solo, whether it was in Turkey, in Italy, or whether it was in Albania, whether it was in Spain, anywhere, and there was a lone male, I would never, ever look at that lone male in the eyes and smile and say hello because of how they might, I'm not sure how they would interpret it, but I, quite frankly, didn't want to find out. And yet I always would smile at the women and just say, well, just smile. There's no need to really do too much. And it was so beautiful to see that often, especially in Turkey, the village women in Turkey, the Turkish people, they would always smile back. So they might not be living an absolutely abundant life, although that abundance is in our estimation of what abundance means, that they were living a life that enabled them to easily, even though they might have a stern, not smiling face to start with, if they saw that you were smiling or at least had an open, friendly face, they would always smile back at you. And how does a smile transform a face? My name is Victoria Rose. I am backpacking solo on a pension. My mission is to show Australian women, any women anywhere around the world, but my mission here is with Australian women because I know what the pension payment is there. I know what the cost of living is in Australia. My mission is to prove that you can travel and live overseas, funded on limited funds, and in this case, on an Australian pension. Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with me. Please go ahead and like my Over 60 Still Fabulous Facebook page, and I'd love to see you here again. I go live every single week, and my final words to you are: there is no use by date. I'll say it again. There is no use by date unless you think there is. True or true? Thank you. Bye.